Yeah, that's right. That's right. So there are when I do not click and start
Yes.
panning, or it stucks on the lasso tool without
Hmm.
me actually clicking. So that is something that we need to take care of. But outside of that, I'm super happy, with us moving in that direction. I think it makes the navigation around the canvas much easier. It makes multi-selection much easier as well. Um, and let's see what else. The states of the cursor is another thing that I want to chat with the dev team about. Like right now, when
Hmm.
when 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 you are hovering the cart, right, the cursor turns into hand, but we are using the hand metaphor for the panning, so that is slightly confusing, right? Like something like a cross cursor with arrows around it would make much sense, more sense here, because it basically will represent the dragging action, right? You can like drag the thing into all the directions. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, you know what I mean? Like a cross cursor with arrows at every end.
Oh,
Um,
it's to show that you can move it.
yeah, that's right. That's right. It really indicates, the dragging around type of behavior. And then we need to talk about focused versus selected state.
Hmm.
And in that case, the text edit cursor would play a role as well. Because like if you click on the card and the action is editing immediately, not selecting, then we can hint that with turning the cursor to this state on hovering.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, this is something that we shall chat about with the dev team and kind of like get on the same page there. Oh
Great.
yeah, and maybe like the color as well. Like right now, lasso is red. Um, I think it should be blue.
Yeah.
I
And
don't know
have
if.
like maybe a thicker border.
Yep.
I think the way Miro does it, it's like the entire lasso box is also highlighted. Not sure how you feel about that.
Um, let me see. Yeah, I'm looking at here now. Yeah.
It's
I think it brings a little bit more attention to it. So something like 10% or 5% uh, color feel within the boundaries of the lasso is a good idea. And
yeah, like
did
that.
yep, exactly. And do you know if the selection, like the border thingy, were already fixed or deployed into Nightly, or it's still work in progress?
Still work in progress.
Okay.
So update there, um, is that we're essentially breaking out the story into
Mm,
two states where you have the border and then you have the resize handles.
yeah.
Because Justin has essentially already completed it for the border, but the resize handles are getting a little um, buggy in terms of the scaling part.
Got it. Got
Um,
it.
so we're breaking those up so that we can at least ship the updated like selection borders,
Hmm.
and then ship the resize handles. So he is just writing a few tests for him right now,
Hmm.
and it should hopefully be merged nightly by today.
Okay. Sweet.
Mhm. That will make a big difference too. Um, and then the scope for that actually is for when it's like multi-selected, all of the individual boxes will be selected like that for now. And
Hmm.
then we broke that off into a separate ticket for once this is multi-selected, you'll see the entire halo
Hmm.
around those things with the resize handles.
Yeah, that makes sense. And we will
Yeah.
not have resize handles on the multi-selection, right? Because we don't have ability to multi or resize a bunch of things.
We it's currently in one story,
Hmm.
so we'll probably break that out into subtasks.
Yeah,
But yeah,
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 that makes sense. Um,
yeah.
yeah, shall we rewind a little bit back and give Alexander and Robert an update on the panning behavior and the multi-select, because this is exciting stuff.
Hmm.
It's a quality of life features.
Yes, let's. Hey, Lysandra. Haven't seen you for a while. It's great to see you.
Been traveling so much.
Oh my God, I'm so jealous. As you should be. As you should be traveling. I hope all good things. I like traveling for fun and stuff.
And Andy had his surgery, and so he's home recovering.
Yes, I need to ping him, but yes, constantly keeping him in my thoughts. That's like not an easy surgery.
Yeah, yeah, we're wishing him a speedy recovery.
Yeah. Welcome, Robert. So essentially what we were, I mean, I'll just give a quick recap. There's lots of like quality of life improvements happening in Edvo. They are iteratively being shipped to our like testing branch, and our goal is to be able to share those with you by next week, either in the testing branch that you can like all experience for yourself, so you guys can share feedback, and then hopefully in production either by the end of next week or early next week once we stabilize a few things. What that includes is, I'm not sure if how far we've updated y'all, but like what that includes is we've moved the organizer to the left panel so that you can just like bring in your tabs directly from the left menu, instead of opening it up into a separate modal. So it makes it really easy just to like drag and drop. Super excited for that. And I think it just like simplifies just behaviors in Edvo. Um, the other things that we're working on, you'll see there's like a bit of a bug right now, is we're updating like the selected states, the border around items in Edvo, like to make it more obvious when something's been selected. As you can see, if you like click on something, you can't really see that it's selected. And the resize handles are really fun. So we're working on fixing those as well. And the other thing, which I'm super excited about, is just how you interact with the Edvo canvas as a whole. So like how you pan, how you select, oh, this is a bug. How you pan, how you move around, how you select things in the canvas. Everything with left click is now just going to be selecting. It's like the selecting state. If you use your like left click, it's either going to be for multi-select or selecting into a specific item in the space. Panning with a mouse, you can either hold down the space bar, your cursor will change to this grabby hand, space bar, move around so that you don't accidentally move anything while you're panning. Robert, I think you actually wrote a ticket for this one in our feedback board, so hopefully we can get this to you soon. But you can also do it with right click. So space and right click to be able to like just pan the space without accidentally moving things in your space. Hyped for that. And we fixed a lot of bugs with portals. Those are still in progress, but currently we fixed the whole like size of the portal. What's on deck is being able to multi-select and change things into a portal easily. And then being able to kind of like drag and drop things on top of each other and have it auto suggest a portal as well. So just a few updates on that front. Did I miss anything, Alex?
No, I think um that's the scope of the things that we're currently tackling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and as Dar said, we're super excited, about pushing that into a public version, because I think it's going to make everyone's life much easier, when it comes to navigation and managing the stuff on Edwell Canvas.
Yeah, exactly. There's a few, like these are already shipped internally. There's a few bugs we're experiencing where like if I'm left clicking, the lasso appears without me holding it and dragging. But we are fixing those shortly. So yeah, excited to make those quality of life changes. I think as soon as we just make it easier to navigate around an Edvo space and move things around an Edvo space without accidentally like taking different actions, I it'll be a lot easier to start making those incremental improvements on how people actually use an Edvo space. We're also thinking through how we make our toolbar, like just the Edvo space in general, more discoverable, the actions you can take. So this radial navigation, I think we're just going to unfoil it once again and have it on the left side. So you'll see a toolbar right here with like the main actions that you can be taking, make that a bit more discoverable, and then making it easier for you to start bringing things in. So we already have like the tabs on the left, but different ways for us to dip our toes into like importing different files and making it more obvious to do that as well.
And the navigation, another big thing that we are tackling. So to make sense of like where you are in a multitude of Edvo spaces and how those spaces are interconnected with each other, we are looking into breadcrumbs and making some progress on that front as well.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, so super excited about that. So your Edvo spaces are going to like start changing a bit as we make these changes. They'll happen pretty iteratively. Like first you'll kind of see what I'm seeing, what you're seeing here in my space. But then you'll start like, seeing the toolbar pop up, breadcrumbs appearing, things like that. Yeah, so we're super excited by that. I wanted to does anyone have any like questions or thoughts?
One from me, really amazing progress. What you just said about moving the circle, like the portal over to the left, that big gray bar opens up to a notes section.
Yes.
Yeah, so that will just move the little menu will still be on top of the canvas itself, correct?
This menu, like what are you referring to when you say menu?
Where we've got the sticky in the portal in the little circle thing in the bottom right.
Yep.
You just said you're going to move those guys over to the left. So they would end up expanding, like we'd still have that note column available.
So what we're actually going to do is move this, like the space level notes to the other side. I think, well, we actually have to think about how we want to handle space level notes actually. Because right now the mental model that people have of space level notes isn't very clear. If you were to like look at notes from like any of the items, they're all coming from the right side of these objects. So it's a bit confusing that like these space level notes are on the left. So that's something that I think we're gonna need to rethink. What's planned is when we implement this, taking this radial toolbar and putting it on the left side, we'll need to put this somewhere else essentially. So this won't be there anymore.
Yep.
And it might just like pop out from the title. I don't know. We still haven't had a design discussion about it yet.
Cool.
Yeah, but good question.
Yeah, the only question one question I had was I see whatever they're called, the pills or whatever, the tags in the left column. Are you able to add tags directly from there or? Yeah, yep. Nice. Cool. And yeah, actually, I think this is something multiple of us touched on last week, and because it's so much similar to other extensions I've used of like a hovering pop-up bar for like a vertical tab browser. I'm curious if there's intentions, or maybe it also does this now too, where you can sort of start typing and searching and it'll filter your list of tabs based on the title of the page or whichever. And
yes, that is definitely an intention to have that kind of experience. Okay. We also personally find it very, very helpful to be able to filter that list in case if you have many tabs open.
And I guess the one other thing that pops to mind about similarities between other extensions would be that if maybe the Edvo extension itself could be like a floating pop-up that when you hover over the tabs, it actually moves to that tab in your browser rather than as like a peak or something like that. That's what some of them do. So it might be interesting to have a not on the web app experience, but more on the extension experience too, as like a floating bar or something like that. Might be interesting. But yeah, after saying that, I realized I somehow uninstalled my Edvo extension and I don't know how to get it back. I don't know if it's on the Chrome store or where I find it.
Was it giving you issues? Like, were there some bugs popping up?
Oh, I uninstalled it because, yeah, and I probably did it mistakenly, but I was thinking some testing I was doing with some other apps were being interfered with, because I think it happened with cookies before, but this case it was actually more to do with SSL certificates. So it probably had nothing to do with Edvo, but I uninstalled it and then didn't know where to get it back.
Yeah, no worries. It's unlisted, so it's not easy
Oh,
to
that's
find.
why. Okay.
Yeah, you can't search it.
Okay.
Yeah, this is actually something that we probably should address on the website. There should be like a link
Yeah.
or something in the footer or in the header.
Yeah. One way that you can get to it easily is if you, for example, if you have the extension uninstalled, let me show you actually by just turning mine off. Check. Let me refresh this really quick. If you just open up Edvo, your Edvo app, you'll see like this red dot if your extension isn't installed, and you'll be able to get to it from there.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that works. Thanks.
And we have like a little bit more discoverable way of installing extension on the backlog as well. So like as we start introducing changes, that'll be a state like when you don't have Edvo extension installed, we'll have like a screen which basically takes over the space, until you have that extension installed.
Yeah. That's actually already implemented. It's in Nightly right now. We just need to push it, which is great. Okay, let me turn this extension back on so I can actually see my iframes. Cool. Yeah, any other questions or thoughts from you guys before we kind of move on to the next thread?
One other for me, Darlene, the notes. I love having the notes on each entity. I'm concerned that I will lose where I put useful notes. Remember, would it be possible that all entity notes are automatically gathered into the space level note?
It's definitely something that wouldn't be hard for us to implement. If we, for example, decided that space level notes should just be like a summary of notes within your space, we would essentially just like live copy each individual item into those notes. And that actually might be a really great iteration before we, implement any like AI generated summaries or something like that. Like that could be like a really great first step.
Yep. And I think it can provide pretty awesome experience in terms of discoverability of the space level node. Because right now it's like for me personally, it's not like super clear like what do I put there versus what do I put on individual items. But if it serves like as a collection of the information on the space, it will give me like a outline view, right? And an ability to easily edit the nodes on items in one place, right? If there's like a two-way connection, then it works as a shortcut, in that case, which is super handy. Yeah. And it will increase the discoverability of that feature in particular, because if you like roll down the node and you see it like in the outline, it will make that connection. So excited to play around with it and then see where it takes us.
Totally. Yeah, I know there's definitely notes could just use more love in general. I think when we fix like those initial quality of life aspects of Edvo, like the navigation, the selecting, moving things around, we'll have an opportunity to put more love into the notes, like just how it scales, text formatting, things like that.
And to-do
Yeah.
lists, action items that can get gathered into a different area.
Yeah, I wonder if, like, for example, can I even type in here? Yes, I can. If I had like to-do list anywhere, because you can add checklists now, but similar to
what is the
huh?
function
Of the checklist? Oh, it's just the two
okay.
brackets. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you
Yeah.
turn those back into a normal bullet then once you've done a few checklists? How do you
Yeah, you just hit the dash button.
dash? Okay, nice.
And then it will turn it.
Yeah, we need a little bit more discoverable way. So
Yes.
people actually can learn that there's an opportunity to do it without digging into documentation or videos.
Exactly. So we have like basic functionality there, and I kind of see it the same way as the kind of like pulling together all of like this the item level notes into the space level notes. It's like if there are check boxes in any of those, maybe that's in like a different section of the space level notes. Maybe that gets collected into a separate space or something, like a to-do list space. That makes it more action oriented or easier to find.
Yep.
That's key for me using Obsidian at the moment, is that I can add I got to organize it with the data view stuff, but to be able to see different things in different lists, but it definitely brings things together and it makes it functional for me as a to-do list tool as well.
Yeah, and I'm noticing a lot as I've been doing different research. This is super meta. Let's see. Let me pull up my space. I like to go into different tools like Discord channels and pull out things that people are saying about why they're switching tools. So if someone like joined Capacity and they're like, oh, I switched from Obsidian to Capacity, vice versa, I like to really pull out those statements and be able to understand those whys and what they're doing it for and what are those like need to have must haves. And meta is Edvo makes it really easy for me to collect all of these things. And now I'm trying to figure out how do I actually kind of process, triage all of these things within Edvo. I think once we have like multi-select, like the first thing is like clustering and multi-selecting and being able to like resize things without having to do them individually. That's what was like the first blocker for me. So like literally the things that we have in the in progress right now will help with that. But it's also just like I wish I could even double click this, I don't know, zoom in, see this up close while having the rest of my canvas visible. So I still have like that spatial reference of like where to put it. Like this is maybe large and pinned somewhere on this side, and I can see how it's related to these things. Because if I double click right now and I see that, it takes me out of the context that I'm already in. So super meta here. But anyways, I brought this up because I'm going to add, Gabrielle, your statement in here.
Is optical character recognition possible? Like,
yeah, I was thinking about the same thing.
yeah.
Yeah, some sort of OCR I think would be super helpful. Because if you bring a bunch of screenshots, you can't really edit them, right? You cannot really extract information out of them unless you retype it. But if there is like a way to take a screenshot, pull it in Edvo, do the OCR, and then extract the pieces that you're really interested in, right?
And
That
maybe then you could highlight particular words so they become tagged and then highlighted on other items in the same space or something like that. Help with clustering or categorizing.
Yeah, 100%. So currently I use this little tool. It's for Mac and called Text Sniper, I believe. And basically what it does, it allows you to OCR the text in the way you do the screenshot. So you're basically dragging, the lasso thingy around the piece of text, and it does the OCR and copies it into your clipboard. And it's like a huge time saver for me because often I deal with images or rasterized text and I hate retyping, right? So for me, it's really like a quality of life tool. And if Edvo has something like that built in, I think it really can help with with processing and building the context. Especially in the case that Darlene is describing, because it's a bunch of screenshots, right? And it's kind of hard to work with them.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, like, sometimes I'll screenshot something big like this. I can't resize this for some reason, but I'll screenshot something big like this, and there'll be different threads within it that contain different nuggets of information. And so, like, I would want to categorize those separately. So being able to like pull that information out of these, I don't know, it's like making information dynamic in like this screenshot essentially. And similar ways that we like in the backlog, we're fixing this right now, but like similar ways, so like all of these types of articles are in this space as well, but similar ways that we used to have the annotator, it's broken right now, it's on the roadmap to be fixed, but like I would love to just be able to highlight words in a screenshot and then pull them out. That would be fantastic. So like those are all, like we have the pieces for those things. I think it's just how do we apply them to these different use cases that we're desiring. So like similarly to like, I'm kind of just going through my own processes and kind of writing down all my product wish list in my docked items here. Like I just like have an ongoing list of like, these are all the things that I need to be able to use Edvo for. Don't be afraid to share those with us as well. And I can add all of your feedback into this space. And then hopefully once multi-select is fixed a bit more, then I'll be able to triage this a bit better.
I did give a kind of a jobs to be done generic kind of list in a table in the document I shared with.
Ooh, I think I saw that.
Yeah.
I think I actually had a few follow-up questions for you there, Gabrielle, so I'll ping you on the basis of those. But yeah, like things like that are super helpful.
Yeah, Gabrielle, would you mind adding me to that document as well?
I can share the table if that's fine with Darlene. I'll just take that screenshot of the image little table that I made and put that in a feedback channel.
Yeah, whatever is easier.
I don't know what happened to resize, but I really want to resize these down and I can't. Woohoo. Okay. I'll figure that out. Dog fooding for the win. Let's see. So anyways, anyone have any other thoughts on this? Oops. On this?
I'm curious if for processing, if tags could also be used, and if there's something in the works for filtering a space based on tags, and maybe even filter/select based on tags, then you could sort of start chopping things up based on tags and tag sets and whatever, adding tags to your current selection or something like that, multi-tag.
Yeah. Yeah. So one thing we haven't talked about as a crew yet is the concept of like my universe, or maybe we briefly touched on it, but essentially what we are working towards is having a space that allows you to kind of just see everything within your Edvo universe, or at least like the high level details, things that aren't really subgrouped under anything else in a way. We're still kind of defining that out. And that's kind of like the first step. So it's like easy for you to kind of like see everything at a high level. The next step from there I see is being able to like search or filter things within that space. It could be based off of tags, it could be based off of keywords, things like that. But it would be really cool to start from like this high level view, be able to start like filtering things, and you kind of see your space evolving based off of what matches your desires. And then perhaps being able to like save that state of the space to be able to find things back again. So anyways, there's a lot of like things that branch off from this concept of just having a high level view of your things and then being able to like hone in on essentially what you're trying to find.
Yep.
So
And
filtering the spaces kind of falls into that.
And basically, if we look at the roadmap, we do have like two big things that we're tackling. All right, first one is the navigation. You know what Dara is describing. You know, with my universe and ability to navigate within different clusters of items, etc. And then next thing would be tagging, search, and discoverability of items through non-visual means. So it's going to be a big topic for us, though we're not there yet.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, the actually I wasn't exactly thinking of the universe space, so that definitely interests me too, but I guess maybe it's slightly more complex if you have more maybe context specific tags that are only as meaningful in a particular space rather than the universe context. But then maybe if you reuse those anyways within multiple spaces, they're still useful in a more global universe context. But yeah, I was thinking more like in a manually curated space that you might use tags as a form of organizing or something.
Yeah. So we are in the process of kind of like we have the bones for auto positioning. And we're starting to define those use cases of like how do we apply auto positioning. So if we were thinking of like automatically grouping things in a space based off the tags, that's something we would be able to apply that auto positioning to. So it's like, okay, if I wanted to group, I don't know, just group everything in this space based off tags, as like a use case. We have the bones for that. Again, it's just identifying what those use cases are. So like that's a fantastic use case. But that's definitely coming in the later stages once we fix all of these quality of life issues.
Interesting. Yeah, I think Kumu does something neat where if you have a selection, you can say yeah, auto position just my selection in maybe a circle or a star, and then you sort of move it off to the side or something like that. And so it wouldn't be auto position the whole space or something, just the current selection or something.
Yeah. I think you should be able to do it at whatever scale within your space, but that would make sense. What was the tool you called out?
KUMU, Kumu. It's like another one of these graph visualization sort of software for doing, I don't know, things like causal loop diagrams and a few other interesting things.
Cool. Make a note of that. Awesome. Well, we do have so Alex and I are syncing with our dev team on a few of the items that we're working on, quality of life things that we were filling you guys in on earlier, just like what it should look like when you're selecting an item, what's the behavior of it, should you be auto focused in it or not. So since y'all are here, I'd love to get some feedback before we go into that section, just to gauge your early thoughts. So let me bring up the agenda. This is the space I created. I was gonna like work through these things before. So this is essentially like all of the questions that we're going to be like touching with the dev team on later today. And the first one is like the one I wanted to talk to you guys about of like, should a selected item be automatically focused? So let me give you some context on what that means. So if I have, for example, a sticky note here and I clicked on it, you'll notice that the sticky note is now like selected based off of the borders, and you'll see your cursor appear. So it's automatically focused. So if I'm in the space, I click into the sticky, I'm able to immediately start typing. That's what automatically focused is. Same thing with like a note card. If I am clicking directly into the note card, you'll notice that like my cursor is automatically in the first bullet and I can start typing. So the pros of that is that it's really easy just to get into the item and start doing whatever you're doing. The cons of that is sometimes it's not exactly clear. It's not easy to like remove items from an Edvo space. Because if you were just like, if you clicked on an item and just started like deleting, it would delete the text because you're focused into it. You'd have to like click into the title and then hit backspace, or right click, remove some space. And we noticed that like that behavior, because of the auto focusing, makes it really confusing for users to understand, how do I actually like remove things from this space. There might be other pros / cons there. Alex, was there anything you wanted to add there on just setting the stage?
Yeah, I think there's also some conflicts when I want to move things around. Let's say I want to move the sticky note somewhere else. Sometimes there is a conflicting behavior between focusing it so I can type. So sometimes it takes me a couple of times going back and forth, deselecting and trying to move item, and that becomes a little bit annoying. But if we have like a clear differentiation between selecting and focusing, or like going into edit mode, that hypothetically would do enough for us to remove that mis-selecting behavior. So you have like a clear separation between I want to move this or I want to edit it. Plus we want to have unified behavior across all the items in Edvo space. So, when you select the browser or you select the image, right, you're not necessarily going into editing mode for that. There's distinct selection mode for those things. But the sticky notes and notes are behaving slightly different in that fashion. So that disparity, it bothers me slightly. It's not like, the end of the world situation. But I think, some unification can be beneficial, so all the items on the canvas can behave the same way.
Yeah, and just for reference, I just pulled in a Miro board really quickly here. If you were to like click on a sticky in Miro, you'll notice that it gets like selected, and then you can do all these items, but you have to click again in order to like start typing into it. So like just the differences in those behaviors is what we're thinking through right now. Curious if anyone feels a certain type of way about, like, I don't know if anyone has thought about this before in the tools that they're using. But I just wanted to bring that up and give anyone the space to add thoughts.
I do use Miro, and I just noticed that, yeah, if you just click something and start typing, it actually just assumes you want to replace everything with whatever you just started typing, which is quite strange, actually.
But that's
the other
a good
thing,
use case or edge case.
The other thing that makes that they do nicely is, yeah, if you click once and then click again, it actually knows where you click on the screen to put your cursor actually there, which doesn't seem to be the case yet for Edvo. It'll just add it to the end instead of where you clicked.
Ooh, could you say that one more time?
Like it, if you on Miro, if you click once and then click on a sticky again, it knows where your pointer was, so it'll put your cursor right there. Where if you do that on Edvo, I tested it, just adds the cursor to the end, then you got to click again to go to where you clicked the first time.
Oh, I see. That's a good note. Yeah, I get what you're saying there.
Maybe also tangential, it is nice that at least for their stickies, the text scales as you type more and change sizes to sort of fit rather than staying one constant size.
Yeah, you mentioned another edge case as well. So if you're not focused in,
Yeah, try typing something right now.
Oh,
See,
wait.
it's replacing whatever was in the sticky. But
Oh,
let's say you have something like pretty lengthy, like you put a paragraph of text in there, and like what is the likelihood that you want to replace the entire thing with whatever you are going to type right now?
yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting edge case to keep in mind.
And maybe it's less critical for stickies, more critical for the nodes. But also, in the spirit of unification of the behaviors and making sure that things behave consistently across the app, we would need to look into that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Robert, thank you so much for bringing this. This is real cool.
But one other thing that I often look for, I don't know if it's a Windows thing or it's pretty common, which also doesn't yet work in Edvo, is double tapping to select where you're clicking on and then continuing your drag to select the whole first word and then everything else that you select from then on out. I think Miro does do that. Yeah, but it doesn't do it in Edvo.
Wait. Okay, walk me through that again. Oh.
You just did it. Yeah, double click and then continue holding and drag to select your whole first word that you touched on and then every other word from then on out.
I think it does do that. I'm just trying this with a card now.
The interaction looks really funky though.
Oh, I was trying with the sticky notes. I don't know if maybe the other thing it does it, but
yeah. Can you try with the sticky?
Yeah.
I think what Robert described works for me, but maybe I'm just misreading what you see.
Okay.
So we have a note, right? And then you double click and start dragging to select all the text.
Whole first word, and then it should show it selected as soon as you double click, like highlight the first word, and then as you drag more, highlight more and more as you drag.
Oh, okay.
Double click doesn't work for individual words and stickies. It highlights the entire thing.
No? I think it does it for me. If there is a space between words, it selects the first one. But then if you continue dragging, it doesn't do anything. So yeah. It's either or. Those behaviors cannot be changed right now.
For me, even the double click doesn't select the whole word, even if I don't do the second drag. Or maybe it's just on my client. I don't know.
Ooh.
Yeah. For me, double click selects the word.
Well, that's weird. Now it is working on a different sticky. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, it might be a buggy behavior.
Then it stopped working.
It probably is a bit. It could be just like it's a bit finicky. The way maybe refresh your space really quick, Robert, and see if it works as expected. And there might be like some competing actions going on.
Yeah, and I haven't thought about chaining those behaviors, but it makes perfect sense. You want to select the word and then drag it in one continuous section. I
did refresh. It's really finicky. One note just won't do it at all. Another sticky only does it with certain words, and then other words it doesn't work on for the double click to select the whole word as a starting point.
Got it. And these are all stickies, yeah?
Yeah, it's yellow stickies on my end. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool. I will look into that a bit more. Yeah, it seems to work as expected on notes. I think you behaved like it just looks a little funny. Okay. We have about like 10-ish more minutes. Was there anything anyone had like specific questions on? And I want to just open it up.
Alex, I've shared that table, the generic jobs to be done, on the feedback channel in Discord.
Awesome. Thank you, Gabriel.
Sure.
Alrighty. Alex, was there anything else that we wanted to talk with the community about? Top
I
of
think
your
we're good
mind?
for now. Yeah, I think we're good for
Okay.
now. We touched base on a lot of things.
Amazing. Yeah, the other day, this is actually an interesting use case. So I was at an event in in San Francisco, and I ran into this other startup based in London, and they got so hyped about Edvo because they wanted to start using it for their Scrum processes. So essentially, they're like looking at a bunch of different like dashboards, and it takes them quite a bit of time just to be able to like work across all of those dashboards. So this week they're experimenting with like pulling those dashboards into one space, having their entire team work off of one space, and be able to like do their scrum processes that way, because they're using all of the same resources every time they're doing it, and they're looking at all the same dashboards every time they're using it. So it'll be really cool to see how they're kind of like interacting with Edvo in that way, what kind of feedback they start to have there. But yeah, just kind of like learning of different use cases that like, I mean, I haven't even done that or tried that use case particularly. So
I mean, it's
really
kind of
interesting to
similar.
see.
It's kind of similar to what we do on the sprint planning, though. Like having like open Jira and a couple of other supporting documents in one space and being able to see everything at a glance. I think it's very similar.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, I
it
can
is
see
related
that.
in that sense.
Yeah, I can certainly see that from a retrospective perspective.
Mhm.
Or marketing, like analytics dashboards, there are usually a bunch of tools, and it makes a lot of sense just to have that access, like Google Analytics window and mixed panel window and whatever else all in one go.
Yep.
That seems like a very good use case for business.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
I think we need what we need to do is to collect a couple of those use cases and highlight them on the website. Just
Yeah.
I mean that particular one is kind of like a gateway into a PM community. Just giving them the tool to do the work that they do like better and faster, and alleviate some pain points, like they need to reopen the same windows over and over again and do it for the entire team. So keeping all the people on the same page, literally on the same page, regarding like all the tools that needs to be open and the state of those tools. I think it's a very compelling use case. So maybe we'll look into how to highlight that on the website and what are the additional couple of the use cases that we can bring in.
So the template could be having the headings for different types of dashboard or analytics that people might want to use, and then it kind of gives them the blank space that they need to bring in their tool window into to slot it in, but it kind of just gives them a guide to put that together. That seems very cool.
Yeah, 100%. And maybe this is like a two-step process. First we just give people an idea that like, hey, this is how you can use Edvo, right? And then at step two, we start introducing the templates, because it would be nice to work with a couple of teams like the one that Dar described, and like understand their use case in a little bit more intimate details, and then use that information to construct more or less universal template that people can start off building those spaces.
The infinite backlog.
Yep. It just keeps growing, keep adding things there.
That's why I chuckle with Darlene at the question, like how do we break this down step by step, week on week for like planning? It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
It's always the way.
Yeah, we should run in all directions with the same speed at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we'll get there. I
Ideal
mean,
state.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm really excited about the direction that we're moving. I think the quality of life stuff is gonna make a big difference in terms of how people like first interact with Edvo. Hopefully we can, use like kind of gauge the numbers of based off of how people are onboarding today, and based, how they interact with it after the fact. So we're starting to get more like measurable, I think, which is always very helpful.
One quick question with some of the side panel that you were showing earlier. I was just curious if those links, are they links? Can you open them in new tabs, or it only really can be drug into the Edvo space?
So the
Like
idea,
if you middle clicked to open in a new tab, would it just work, or?
not yet. The idea is to be able to, there's a set of actions that we're still kind of working through on, like what actions should you be able to take when you see this list of tabs. Obviously bringing them into a space is like the primary action that we are going to empower users to do. But you just also mentioned being able to like click on it and see it in a new tab, or
Yeah, well, yeah, if
have
it was
navigate you to
working
that
more
tab?
as like also a browser, like a browser extension that is just helping you, or anyways, yeah, a middle click or a right click open in new tab. I was just curious if they are HTML links to be able to, instead of bringing it into Edvo, find it or open it in a new tab or something like that.
Robert, just to see through a little bit, like, why would you want to open this link in a new tab, given that it's already opened as a tab in your browser?
Well, that's what I meant, like find it for me, or yeah,
Find
maybe
it.
maybe I do want to open it.
Navigate.
If it's no longer in a tab, because maybe Edvo is the only place it exists now, I don't really know how this fully works yet. But
yeah. So the left panel would reflect the state of your browser. So the things that you will see there would be exactly the tabs that you see on the top.
Yeah, so I guess, yeah, if you look up an extension called Pika tab, then you'll see what maybe I'm assuming. Because yeah, if you hover over, well, anyways, it's not trying to have a space of its own, but it helps you navigate to those tabs. That's what I was saying. If you search to filter, then you can go, oh, there's the tab I'm looking for. Okay, go to it instead of bringing it into my Edvo or something.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Like opening a new tab, for me personally, it's questionable because you already have that tab. Why do you want multiple copies of it? It just like increases the noise. But from the perspective of navigation, using this list as an additional tool to take control of your browser and being able to filter it and click on the thing and kind of like focus it, as a tab in your browser, that seems like a pretty cool use case for me.
Yeah, actually, I didn't use, I guess, what was called the organizer that much. I wasn't sure if, like, by bringing it into the space, that means it's removed as a tab in your browser, or it can exist. So yeah, I guess I'll just play with this more once it comes out to sort of.
Yeah, we actually played out with a couple of concepts. So initially, the thought was like as soon as you bring, the item from left bar into the space, we're going to automatically close it in your browser. But then, we were like, oh, well, we probably shouldn't mess with the tabs that users, have opened. So now it's probably going to be a setting. You would be able to toggle on or off the auto closing of the tabs, whatever you're liking, whatever your expected behavior, from this tool is. And you would be able to, click on things like there's going to be like a little icon to close the items from this list. And you are able to pull them into the spaces. And as soon as you pull them into the spaces, they're going to be tagged with that space name. So you can see, which items in your left panel exist in Edvo somewhere and which one are just not in there, and you will be able to filter that list as well on the basis of whether or not tabs are somewhere in Edvo.
Yeah, I think you can definitely do an elegant way of doing both, where it's a tabs manager and helps you get rid of tabs or not, if you, based on your choice. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, this is like just the very first iteration. We just took the organizer and slapped it into the left panel there. Alex has some really great designs that we will be implementing soon, but this was, a really easy way to kind of just like test proof of concept.
Cool.
Alrighty, y'all. Well, I appreciate y'all for being here. Gonna keep having this space open for any kind of conversations that come up, but obviously to share our progress on a lot of things. And I think in the next coming weeks, there are a lot of exciting updates to share. So really excited for next week.
Yay! Super nice seeing you, folks.
Look at those fireworks.
Oh my God. I
Bye,
didn't know
y'all.
Zoom does that.
Me
Well,
either.
because you said yay. Okay. Or double thumbs up. Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah, double thumbs up.
Okay.
Oh man, that's not doing it for me, but that's all right.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
I need to update my client maybe or something. I don't know.
Oh, interesting. All right. Well, I'll talk to y'all later.
Right. Thank you, folks.
Thanks,
Bye.
Ken.
Bye.